All right, Nick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. This is a team, and we've come back on this statement, so you can't go after us too much now. But starting the season, there was a toss-up between Drew Lock, Geno Smith, who would be the best fit for this offense. And people weren't sure. We weren't sure. We thought maybe Drew Lock had a little bit of life in him in the preseason. But Geno Smith has come out, and this game kind of just shows he won an absolute gunslinging duel against the Detroit Lions, who at this rate were the second best scoring offense in the NFL coming into this game. And they did not disappoint today. They put up 45 points. But Geno Smith and the Seahawks put up 48 points. So this Seahawks offense is for real. They can go up against some really big powerhouse scoring offenses and kind of go toe-to-toe with them. And this is a Geno Smith-led offense, and he played lights out today. Now, I know Detroit's defense has not been the best, but when you go toe-to-toe to someone and you put up 48 points on an NFL defense, you are not a bad player. So, congratulations to Geno Smith, the Seahawks offense overall. But Seahawks fans, we got to know, there are so many points put up today. There's a lot of guys you could talk about. Who was your MVP for today's game? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what do you got on the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith?
I've got to come out and said this. We saw this in the preseason when Smith outplayed Lock and said, because I was a big Drew Lock guy, and I said, look, I was 100% wrong. You're right to go with Smith. And the reason I said you're right to go with Smith at that time was he's a little bit better with the football. He's going to convert better third downs with his mobility and some of the things he does in those situations. He won't have the dumb turnovers. Drew Lock threw 3 picks. I think it was 3 picks, terrible interceptions in a preseason game. And I said, look, it's the right to go with Geno Smith. He gives you a better chance to win. He's a better game manager. Well, we just saw in Detroit that he is the opposite of it. His numbers are absolutely staggering, Miles. I'll go through them right now. 23 of 30 through the air, 320 yards. That's a 10.7 yards per clip. That's astounding. That's crazy high. 2 touchdowns. He added a third touchdown on the ground with 49 rushing yards and 7 attempts. He took a few kneel downs at the end of the game, so it was more like mid-50s was most of his rushing production. He did get some help from guys like Rashad Penny, who had a massive day, 2 long scores, 17 carries for $151. He had a big day. So obviously everybody on that offense really jumped out. But I was really impressed with Geno Smith's performance because in key situations, he was absolutely outstanding. I remember there's a couple key third downs when it was certainly fourth quarter time frame. I was like, who's going to make the first mistake, whether it be Goff or Smith? Goff obviously had the pick 6. You're like, well, will Smith be able to keep it clean and keep moving third downs and not turn the football over? And he stayed true to that 100% down the stretch in the fourth quarter, made all the right plays to keep pace and keep ahead of this Detroit Lions offense. That was kind of a machine of their own right. So this is 100%. My MVP is Geno Smith, proving me wrong for yet another time. I'll admit this 100%. I was completely wrong with Geno Smith. He has absolutely blown me away, and he blew me away even further with his incredible performance against the Lions.
Yeah, and let's take a deeper look at this Seattle offense. It looks really nice. Obviously, the offensive line kept Smith relatively clean. I don't think he took any sacks today. They ran the ball very well. So with two rookies out on the tackle positions, you're looking pretty solid overall. Geno Smith is doing good. Rashad Penny had a monster day. Then you have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who really, really had a phenomenal day as well. Metcalf had 150 yards through the air. Lockett had 91 yards through the air. So there you go. These are 2 guys who you've needed to step up to give Smith some weapons on this offense, and they definitely are weapons. And then maybe, I don't know so much, Noah Fant caught the touchdown in the end zone, but Noah Fant, he's been hit or miss in Denver and Seattle. He hasn't really jumped off the page so much yet, but I'm waiting to see if he can step up and make a bigger contribution to this offense. Because if you have one more receiving option on this offense that's deadly, especially in the red zone, I think is going to take them to the next level. But let's take a look defensively, because the defense, while they let up 45 points, which is pretty horrible, you can't really say too much about them. There was one play I would like to point out. Tariq Woolen made a pretty clutch pick 6 and kind of that they were going back and forth all game, tit for tat, score for score. The 48-45 game, very, very close. And I think that's one of the plays you got to be able to make a play on defense. And for Tariq Woolen to take it to the house, I think that might have kind of taken Detroit's momentum down a little bit and allowed Seattle just to barely pull away and win this tight game with a really high scoring offense. What do you think on that, Nick?
So obviously, in any kind of these shootouts, right? It's a game. If you're a defensive coach, you want the film to be put away. But we talked about the Seattle defense. They're young, they're athletic, they're fast. There's going to be some learning curves as they try and figure things out. But they do have playmakers, and we saw it with Tariq Woolen. You mentioned with that key pick six, which, like you said, created some distance, some separation that put Detroit, pretty much up 2 scores the rest of the way, and that kind of was a separation as they went through the game. But I'm going to just go back to Geno Smith here for a little bit, because here's what really blew me away. I thought Smith was going to be good, solid on third down this year. I was thinking maybe 45, 40% clip. He was 9 for 12, or the Seahawks, rather, with Geno Smith running the show, were 9 for 12 on third down against the Detroit Lions today. That is absolutely incredible. Granted, they had a few running attempts in there, with obviously the third down touchdown and the final touchdown, the final first down to ice the game. Yes, that wasn't 100% Geno Smith, but I was blown away with his ability in key passing situations and third downs to make numerous big plays that led to scoring drives that really helped, again, keep that distance and that separation from the Detroit Lions. So obviously, there's some guys on defense that made some big plays. Not a lot of them. Obviously, you give up 45 points, but I'm going to keep going back to Geno Smith because I'm absolutely stunned with his accuracy, decision making, big play ability. He checked every box. Running the football, he checked every box in this massive win for the Seattle Seahawks.